Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to lecture number 6. And this lecture is in continuation with the previous lecture we had. In that lecture, we were discussing about stakeholders and program stakeholders engagement. We had discussed the very basics of stakeholder management in that lecture. The people who have already attended and selected this course of management and development and management of complex projects in previous semester must have seen those slides as well. But the concept remains same whether if you are doing a project or a program. So complex project, while we were actually studying that, is kind of the management is very extensive, and we may take up a big project, very large project as a program. We can have sub-projects as projects and stuff like that. So the basics remain same. Now we will try to relate the knowledge we have in past with us, and let's implement that knowledge to program activities. So today we are going to talk on program stakeholder, and then the fifth domain of program management is program governance. So we are going to talk on that as well. So before we proceed to this lecture number 6, and we will have a look on the lecture number 5, what we have discussed earlier. So in previous lecture, we had discussed about the definition of stakeholder. Who is our stakeholder? Different people may have different definitions of stakeholder. Some people say the one who is contractually bound to some project or program is a stakeholder. Some others say the one who is getting affected by the activities of project and program. Some people say, well, I'm not contractually bound, and I am not directly affected, but I'm actually affected indirectly. So in that case, the people also be termed as stakeholders. So these definitions are very much in conformity to the standard deviation and as definition, and that is the stakeholder is the one, it may be an individual, maybe a community, maybe a locality, maybe a nation, maybe even countries, a group of countries, they may act like as a stakeholder. So any individual or group or whatever, which is actually having a stake, or who think that we are having a stake in the program or project, they are called as project or program stakeholders. And a stakeholder management, we had a talk of that. We had discussed the process of stakeholder management, though it is written over there as stakeholder management, but we had discussed that unlike risks, stakeholder cannot be managed, their expectations can be engaged. So we need to, their expectations can be managed. So we are actually doing what we are actually engaging them, not managing them. But there is a word, and we are following that, but you should keep this thing in your mind. And then if you have this very good idea in your mind, you are very much able to manage them very successfully. And then we had discussed about the context of program and stakeholder management. The context, whatever your program is, so the whole bunch of people, their interests, their influence, their effects, everything will be changed with the change in program. Context of the program really matter for stakeholders management. Then we had talked about identify stakeholders. We are going to talk on that as well in this particular lecture, but we had identified that as maximum as we can, the project program stakeholders should be identified. And then we had discussed different tools which we may use, like brainstorming and like Delphi technique and like anything, computators, research and stuff like that. So, and then we had talked about stakeholder analysis. So analysis, analysis कहते हैं बड़ी चीज़ को छोटे छोटे हिस्सों में divide करने को. So we need to analyze a stakeholder, like what is the impact of that stakeholder, what is the influence of that stakeholder, what is the power of that stakeholder. And by power we mean there were different types of power we had discussed the other day, like the power of knowledge, the power of personality, the power of penalty, the power of reward and stuff like that. So, and then what we also talked the other day was how the stakeholders are actually linked with each other. So if one stakeholder which is not having that much power, which is having less influence, but may have very high interest in the program, that stakeholder may be linked with the one very strong stakeholder who is having very good power, but is having least interest, but because this stakeholder is linked to that stakeholder, the powerful one. So what will happen if we are not going to engage this weak stakeholder? He or she may create a problem by approaching this strong stakeholder. So all this is discussed in stakeholder analysis. And then we we need to map stakeholders. The other day we just talked on that. We are going to see a chart on today as far as program stakeholder analysis is concerned. And then we had discussed about different here stakeholder engagement framework. Broadly we can categorize stakeholders in 3 categories, and we can engage them through those the neutral, the sportive, and the opponents of the project or program. But then in last session we had 5 categories, so we need to engage them and we need to keep them in our sport, in the sport of program. So this is what we had discussed in previous lecture. The concept of that lecture was to prepare for stakeholder engagement. Remember, stakeholder management has been a very important topic, and this is not any machine, this is not anything else, this is people. Those people, they decide if your program or project or portfolio is successful or not. So we need to take care of them. At times the whole program, whatever the objectives may have been, is gone just because of the reason only one stakeholder is not engaged properly, and that stakeholder may be a prime stakeholder for your program. So this is the importance of stakeholder engagement. And now let's move to the program management performance domains. As we do know that we have 5 domains over there. So program strategy alignment, and then we had program benefit management, and then we had program stakeholder engagement. And now this is the topic we are going to talk, and we are talking since last lecture. And then program governance, and then program lifecycle management. This has already been discussed, this has already been discussed, and this has already been discussed. We have discussed partly, and today we are going to talk on these two. So we had talked about different domains and their interaction with each other. So program management is taking care of all of the 5 domains. So today's lecture is the last lecture of this seminar on program management, and after this lecture we will proceed to another very important, a very interesting new area, and that is business analysis. We are going to talk on portfolio management as well, but before we go into portfolio management, we will finish this business analysis part, and then we will move to the seminar on portfolio management. So but let's finish this thing today, and let's start with stakeholder engagement, program stakeholder engagement. So this slide has been shown few times now, capturing and understanding stakeholder needs, desires and expectations, and analyzing the impact of the program on stakeholders and vice versa, gaining and maintaining stakeholder support, managing stakeholder communications, and mitigating channeling stakeholder resistance, if any. So what we need to do over there, we need to understand the difference between need, desire and expectation, and in previous lecture we had talked on that in good detail. What else can be actually added over there? So gaining and maintaining stakeholder support is very good thing, managing stakeholder communication is very good thing, and mitigating or channeling stakeholder resistance. And we can actually also do what we can increase on the support in leading phase. The other day we were talking about, so we can have that. So this is the definition. And stakeholder, who is stakeholder of the program, or who is the stakeholder for project? Or so the concept remains same as far as program is concerned or for project is concerned. Project is more micro, program is kind of, you know, high level thing, but the concept for both the things remain same. So stakeholders represent all those who will interact with the program, as well as those who will be affected by the implementation of the program. So whenever we are implementing the program, we are doing some change, we are bringing some change, और ये human psyche है कि हम change को resist करते हैं first of all. So majority change को accept नहीं करती है. Over the time they start living with the change, and one day yes they become very good defender even of defender of the change, but initially the change is not accepted with that a good thing, you know. So we need to understand what is the effect which is going to be there on different groups or people or individuals, or by implementing the program. And another very important point, we had discussed at this point few times now. So stakeholders cannot be managed, only stakeholder expectations can be managed. So we need to engage them. We need to. So by stakeholder management, if we use, we mean stakeholder engagement or management of their expectations. And stakeholder management, whenever we are talking of stakeholder management, remember the most important thing which is there, which may not be the time and cost and other contractual things, procurement things and risks and stuff like that, that may be the communication. The most important thing about stakeholder is communication. So people, they are always communicating, even if they are not speaking. So they are communicating through body language, and there are so many ways of communicating: verbal, non-verbal, body language, and there are different modes available. So the communication may be direct, the communication may be indirect. We need to understand that the stakeholder engagement is actually is expressed as communication, that may be direct or indirect. And stakeholder engagement, however, this is very important, includes more than just communication. So, when we talk of stakeholder engagement, we need to identify the stakeholder, for which we are not communicating only, we are using different tools, and then we are analyzing, we are using different statistical tools, different research tools, different tools available on internet and stuff like that for analyzing the stakeholders, their effects, their powers, their influence, their interests, their relationships. So communication is very important. There is no doubt about that. Communication will come and play a very vital role, but stakeholder engagement is a bit more than that communication. Okay, over there we can see a group of people, team. They are actually very much messed up while engagement. So this is the real time, real life example we are trying, everybody in the team program level is trying to deal with stakeholders, and they are trying to engage in them. But at times they are good, at times they are not. So they keep trying, and by the end of the day, they are having this engagement at place. So that can be, the stakeholder engagement can be very, very challenging at program level, because stakeholders view the program benefit as a change. We had discussed this thing before. So when they think benefits as change, they have a propensity to resist the change. And why they resist? They have not directly requested it. So if I haven't asked for it, why are you giving it to me? So this is a very good example. Like people in remote areas, when they are given a road, they resist it. I mean, they say, why are you giving a road? The people from the cities, and they are bad people, and they can approach to our lands and stuff like that. So we are not in need of your help anymore. Don't construct a road. We are not in need of. If we are comfortable, why are you constructing that project of road? And why are you constructing a dam in our area? We are very much there. The dam will actually result in relocation of the population, and the graveyards will be diminished and stuff like that. So whenever they are not demanding it, they are happy with their lives. So you are going to implement a program somewhere over there. So very good example nowadays is, this is a sad example, but yes, polio vaccination in some areas of our country, and they are resisting it because they don't want it happening. So there is another debate if they are right or not, but they will try to resist that. And while we are engaging them, or while we are managing them, we should consider their point of view as well. We should understand the very basic reason why they are not accepting it, right? So if we do take care of this thing, the one I'm actually highlighting over there. So if we understand these things, they have this tendency to resist, so we are able to actually channelize their resistance. And the second reason may be they have participated in creating it well. They wanted to create something, and that is the other thing, and they don't understand the necessity for it. We had discussed वो उसकी ज़रूरत नहीं समझ रहे, वो समझ रहे हैं कि ये तो फजूल चीज़ है, इसका कोई मकसद नहीं है, उल्टा इससे नुकसान ज़्यादा है. एक और बड़ी अच्छी एग्जांपल है कि अगर हम एक बड़ा प्रोग्राम बनाते हैं जिसमें डैम्स हैं, चैनल्स हैं और कनाल्स हैं, तो उसके खिलाफ रेजिस्टेंस आ जाती है, क्योंकि हमें तो इसकी ज़रूरत ही नहीं है. हम अगर ये बनेगा तो ये तो किसी और की ज़रूरत पूरा करेगा. मुझे इसकी क्या फ़ायदा है, तो ये जब सोच आती है तो लोग इसको रेजिस्ट करते हैं. They are concerned with the effect of the change on them personally. Now this is very serious issue. Whenever there is a program launched and there is a change, so that change is actually been implemented on the community or few individuals or group of people. So remember that change may not be welcome by so many people. So through education, people may learn how to respect and why should they respect the other ones. But that thing may not be acceptable in some locality for even, for example, genders and stuff like that. So gender equality comes up with the education, but the education which is actually giving this thought is not welcome by the community, which is kind of remote, and they will try to resist it. So when it comes to personal thing, people, they try to resist it with maximum resistance. So there may be that effect. So this is why the group of people over there, they are trying to settle the things, but they are totally messed up. But eventually, as I've said, if we do know of these parameters, we are going to engage them in a very good manner and very adequate manner. And well, we had talked the stakeholder management for projects process the other day. There are 3 activities as far as program stakeholder engagement is concerned. As you can see, the pattern is there. The same pattern is there. Over there, we had bifurcated the whole process in, starting from the context of the project and program to stakeholder engagement and management. But the concept remains the same. What we do in stakeholder engagement domain, we actually carry out 3 activities, and those are program stakeholder identification, as the name is depicting. What does it mean? But we are going to talk on that in good detail. And then stakeholder engagement planning, and then stakeholder engagement itself. So these are 3 activities which we will carry out for this stakeholder engagement for programs. There are a group of people over there, and there are a lot of people. We need to identify the right one. Okay, so that is shown over there. So the program stakeholder identification activity is aimed at systematically identifying as many program stakeholders as possible to create a stakeholder register. Now this is very important, and you people must have a very good idea of stakeholder register. Okay, so we need to do what? Systematically. There should be a system, there should be criterion, there should be the reasons why somebody may be included in a stakeholder register and why other is not being included. So we need to identify as many as possible stakeholders and identify them. So this is very important stage. Stakeholder register is created, and how we create that. First of all, we actually have a list of stakeholders who is going to be a stakeholder of our program. So then we carry out detailed stakeholder analysis, and through what do I mean by detailed stakeholder analysis? What is the power factor of stakeholder? What is the interest of that stakeholder? What is the relationship between the stakeholders? And what are the options that stakeholders have if they actually are in support or against the program? So if they are against the program, so they can lobby, they can do stuff like that, negative thing. And similarly, if they are very good stakeholders, they're positive stakeholders, what they can do, they can actually influence the program very positively. So in program stakeholder register, we do take care of such things, and we include analysis as well, the list of stakeholders. And then we categorize stakeholders' relationship to the program. So some stakeholder may have different relationship with the program, the other may have different. One of the stakeholder is directly connected with the program. If the program is running smoothly, he or she is getting invoices very timely, hence his or her actually livelihood is dependent on that program. The other may be actually been affected negatively by the program, and hence their relationship will be with the program is totally opposite. So we need to understand the relationship of the stakeholders with the programs, and now then we will be able to categorize them like supportive or neutral or whatever. Then we need to understand their ability to influence, and ability to influence, I mean the power factor. So somebody may influence the program very much, like he or she is a political leader or something like that. So the other may be an individual. So we need to understand the ability of different stakeholders on the program's outcomes. How can they influence such thing? And then stakeholders' degree of support for the program. This actually tells us the interest in the program. So somebody who is actually having livelihood, if some of the contractor is part of a program, so he is very much attached to the program. But what if he is actually having a contract quite large than this one, somewhere else with some other organization, a part of another program, so his interest will be dropped for that particular your program. So we need to understand the degree of support this stakeholder has for our program. And not only these, the influence, the power, and the interest, we need also to understand other characteristics or attributes the program manager may feel with the time, which could influence the stakeholders' perception and program's outcome. So we need to document all those. And everything, the list, the analysis, all the things we had discussed are actually been documented somewhere, which is called as program stakeholder register. Okay, so the other day we were discussing about analysis, and we had carried out analysis, and this is a very good example of one map, and this is two-axis map. In one axis we are having power axis, and the other is interest axis. So we can actually have three dimensional maps as well, but this is not the scope of this class. Okay, so if the power is high, we have divided into 4 matrices. Okay, so if we are having high power but low interest, what we need to do? We need to keep them satisfied. Okay, so one stakeholder A is very powerful but is having lesser interest. And what if some stakeholders having lesser power and lesser interest? So we need to keep this stakeholder in that quadrant, and like stakeholder G and D are having lesser interest and lesser power, so they are part. So what we need to do is we need to monitor them. We need to keep an eye on them. If they are not actually been getting neutral or negative. And then if they are having high interest but low power, so high interest mean just keep inform them. So C over there and E are actually placed somewhere there. And if somebody is having high power, can actually influence, can bring some good or bad influence on program, and high interest as well. So we need to actually manage them very closely. So B, H, and F, these are prime stakeholders for us. We need to keep an eye on them as well. We need to inform them. We need to do efforts, and we need to manage them very, very closely. Okay, so this map is just about power and interest, and you should understand the difference between engagement and mapping. Mapping may be misleading at times. So through this given data, if I have to decide, and I will actually say, well, D is not that important, just leave him or her alone. But what if this D is having a relationship with this B now, and this is a very good relationship, right? And very, very thick line over there. Okay, let's see, I'm doing, okay. So what if they are having such a relationship? So now we need to understand the relationship between both D and B, and the relationship is very significant. So this D can actually influence your project and the outcome of the project very seriously, but this map is not telling us this thing, So the power may be the combination of influence and the relationship or something like that. But the point is, we may use other maps as well, and we can use them we can use them like 2 or 3 or 4 maps. Okay. So let's talk of some key program stakeholders. As I've told you, there are so many terms we may use, like the prime stakeholders, the key stakeholders, the primary stakeholders, the secondary stakeholders, and internal stakeholders, external stakeholders. So for program management, we are using this term, and that is key program stakeholders. So program sponsor is the very, very important one person or group of persons. So they are actually champions. So the individual executive or group of individual executives who champions the program initiative and is responsible for providing program resources and is ultimately responsible for delivering the benefits. Now, he or she is one of the most important things of a program, and if a program sponsor is gone or a group of sponsor is gone, the whole of the program's advocacy will be gone, and hence the resources may not be available with that. And then there is a program governance board. We are going to talk on that today in good detail. So the group responsible for ensuring that program goals are achieved and providing support for addressing program risks and issues across the organization. So they are actually they are setting and evaluating and ensuring that goals are being achieved. And they actually are providing necessary support for risks and issues which are coming to the program. So program governance board is this may in different organizations they may have like steering committees and stuff like that, but the concept remains the same. And then the last on this slide is a program manager, obviously the one who is actually leader of the program, who is leading the group of project managers and program management team as well. So the individual responsible for managing the program. So this is and project managers, obviously a program is a combination of different projects. So those are actually being headed by the project managers, and those project managers are responsible for the performance on their respective projects, and program is actually been managed and is evaluated based on their performance. So they are very, very important stakeholders as well. So the individual responsible for managing and the component projects within the program. And then program team members, there are two types of team members we have, project team members and program team members. So we are talking of program team members. So the individuals performing program activities, they are program team members. And then project team members, as the decisions of the program will eventually influence the decisions of the projects, or whatever has been happening on projects will ultimately having effect on a program. So project team members, they are equally very important stakeholders. And then the funding organization, the part of the organization or the external organization providing funding for the program. So one of the very good example, if you are running a program in a government sector and that program is initiated by a very good sponsor, and you are a program manager and you are a very good program manager, you've been given a very good team, and you have chosen the best 3 project managers for your 3 projects in program, and you have ensured that the team members they've selected the project managers. You have taken care if they have adequate qualifications, skills, knowledge for management on the projects. So everything is good. The top management is good. Sponsor is very much happy with the performance, and he is actually advocating the project to the top management. Like top management, I mean like ministers and prime minister and stuff like that. But what if the funding is from some donor agency or some lending agency like Asian Development Bank or World Bank or stuff like that, and they pull out the funding from the program, as this program is no more in alignment with their strategic decisions and strategic alignment. So what will happen then? So see, this is very important. So a funding organization, if that is external, this is a very good example of external. And what if internal organizational finance VP is not happy or is not on board for your program? So remaining people are on board, but if the finance guys, they are not on board, so that may influence your program as well. And obviously, if we are doing that program is being run in some organization, so the program may be executed by the projects. There may be contractors, there may be different people who are actually working. So performing organization and the group that is performing the work of the program through component projects and non-project works, those are equally important. So contractors, consultants, we have suppliers, they are very important, and the one who is actually working on the program, so they are also key stakeholders. And then we are having program management office. This is very important. Just like project management office, these are people who are actually, if there are so many different programs. There are few organizations where we are having like 4 or 5 or 6 programs, and they are very large programs. So what they do is, for the help of top management and for the guidance to the program management teams, they devise program management office. One layer of bureaucracy is added above the program management thing. So the organization responsible for defining and managing the program related governance, processes, and procedures, templates for supporting individual program management teams by handling administrative functions centrally, or providing dedicated assistance to the program managers. So in this way, the program management office, if that, this is a big if that is available, is a key stakeholder. And then customers. Well, this lady, if she is showing you the this thumb of satisfaction, very good. If she is your customer, but what if the stakeholder, you are having a customer and that is not happy? The whole of the program is actually been, compromised then. So the individual or organization that will use the new capabilities, results of the program, and derive the anticipated benefits, the customer is a major stakeholder in the program's final result and will influence whether the program is judged to be successful or not. And as far as these are direct customers, we do know that these are. What about potential customers? The past and future customers who will be watching intently to see how well the program delivers the stated benefits. So they become your prosper customers in future. And yes, we had talked on that as well. Suppliers, they are very important. Quite a number of projects have not and programs have not achieved their benefits to the maximum just because of poor management of the suppliers. Product and service providers are suppliers who are often affected by changing policies and procedures. And then a very, very important stakeholder is government regulatory agencies. So organizations, if they are working, should operate within the regulatory framework of the organization, as well as the legal boundaries which are set by the local or provincial or national governments. There may be other non-governmental organization which need to be observed, but in our country most of the regulatory bodies are government, but just one good example is just like ISO, though that is not a government agency, but people do adhere to the ISO standards for quality thing, so they become key stakeholders as well as far as programs are concerned. So these are few key stakeholders we had discussed today, and few other may be the competitors. Some competitors are affected by the program's team's ability to deliver benefit as chartered. Impacted competitors may be managed as stakeholders. Stakeholder competitor दो तरह से affect हो सकते हैं. एक तो कि वो देख रहे हो कि जो चीज़ आप बना रहे हैं और आप उनसे काफ़ी आगे हैं और उन्होंने उसी चीज़ को इनपुट लेके एक और चीज़ बनानी है. सो व्हाट विल दे डू? दे विल वेट फॉर योर प्रोडक्ट टू बी लॉन्च्ड. जब आपकी प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च होगी वो उसको लेकर के आगे अपनी प्रोडक्ट में यूज़ कर लेंगे. एक तो ये तरीकाकार हो सकता है, इस चीज़ के लिए वो वेट कर रहे हो. और दूसरा ये है कि ये बड़ी पॉजिटिव चीज़ है कि आप अकॉर्डिंगली उनके साथ नेगोशिएट करके अपने बेनिफिट्स को मैक्सिमाइज कर सकते हैं. आप क्रैशिंग कर सकते हैं, आप टाइम को जल्दी, क्योंकि उनको तो जल्दी चाहिए, तो आप जल्दी करके अपने कंपटीटर को भी एक कस्टमर के तौर पर डील कर सकते हैं. सो देयर मे बी डिफरेंट वेज टू मैनेज दैम. Affected individuals or organizations, now this is very important, this is like common people. So those who perceive that they will either benefit from or to be disadvantaged by the program's activities. And there may be other groups like consumer, environmental and political, and they may be having some interest, so they need to be engaged as well. So these are the key stakeholders which may come across any one program. Now, what we have done is we had actually identified our stakeholders, assumingly these are key stakeholders, but assumingly we had identified all the stakeholders of the program, which is not possible at the start, but with the passage of time, with elaboration progressively elaboration, and then with the passage of time, the visibility has been increased into the future as more information is available with us now. So the number of stakeholders we can identify and maximum stakeholders when identified, then we start planning how to engage them. So the stakeholder engagement planning activity outlines how all the program stakeholders will be engaged throughout the duration of the program. So this is not like they need to be engaged in for like first month or 2 months, for whole of the life of the program. So the stakeholder register is analyzed. That is, the stakeholder register is the product of the first activity, and that is stakeholder identification, program stakeholder identification. So that is further analyzed with consideration of organization strategic plan, program charter, program business case to understand the environment in which the program will operate. So we need to understand कि जी ये हमारा बिजनेस केस है, ये हमारे ऑब्जेक्टिव्स हैं, ये हमारे स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं, इनको हमने एंगेज करना है तो किस लिमिट के अंदर रह के एंगेज करना है. लाइक एक स्टेक होल्डर है, उसको हम किस एक्सटेंट तक जाके उसको एंगेज कर सकते हैं. So before we actually do that, we need to consider following aspects. So organizational culture and acceptance of change. चेंज के ऊपर हमने काफ़ी बात कर ली है, और कल्चर ये कि वो कैसे बिहेव करते हैं. एटीट्यूड अबाउट द प्रोग्राम्स एंड इट्स स्पॉन्सर्स, ये बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ है. इसमें एक तो प्रोग्राम की तरफ तो एटीट्यूड ठीक है, वो बड़ा क्लियर है कि जी ये पॉजिटिव है, ये नेगेटिव, लेकिन एक और चीज़ है इसके स्पॉन्सर के साथ एटीट्यूड. कुछ लोगों की कुछ स्पॉन्सर्स के साथ बड़ी अच्छी बनती है. अब उस स्पॉन्सर ने वो प्रोग्राम लॉन्च किया हुआ है तो हो सकता है कि वो स्पॉन्सर उनको पसंद ना हो, और उसके साथ उनकी ठीक टर्म्स ना हो, तो वो जो प्रोग्राम है वो उसको खामखा उसके साथ एडवर्सरियल रोल अपना वो प्ले करते रहेंगे. ऑन द अदर एंड किसी और स्टेक होल्डर, किसी और स्पॉन्सर के साथ उनकी बड़ी अच्छी है बातचीत और वो उसको सपोर्ट करते हैं. सो वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड द एटीट्यूड अबाउट द प्रोग्राम एंड स्पॉन्सर्स एज वेल. एक्सपेक्टेशन ऑफ प्रोग्राम बेनिफिट्स डिलीवरी, कि वो एक्सपेक्ट क्या करते हैं. तो जो हम शुरू में बात की थी कि डिजायर और नीड्स, एक्सपेक्टेशन, ये सारी चीजें हमें देखनी होती हैं. डिग्री ऑफ सपोर्ट और अपोजिशन टू द प्रोग्राम बेनिफिट्स, इसके ऊपर हमने बात कर ली. एबिलिटी टू इन्फ्लुएंस द आउटकम ऑफ द प्रोग्राम, सो ये सारी चीजें हमने ऑलरेडी कंसिडर कर ली हैं. एंड देन इन द लास्ट वी डू व्हाट we engage them, we engage our stakeholders. So stakeholder engagement is a continuous program activity because the list of stakeholders and their attitudes and their opinions change as the program progresses and delivers benefits. So ऐसा नहीं है कि अगर stakeholder शुरू में पॉजिटिव है तो एंड तक पॉजिटिव रहेगा, या जो नेगेटिव है वो एंड तक नेगेटिव रहेगा. जो पॉजिटिव है वो न्यूट्रल भी हो सकता है, और वो नेगेटिव भी हो सकता है, और वो शदीद मुखालफ भी हो सकता है. जो मुखालफ है वो शदीद मुखालफ भी हो सकता है. So we need to keep an eye on them. So with that, we have actually concluded our stakeholder engagement, and now let's have a look on the role of program manager. Role of the program manager was discussed throughout, but let's summarize that, and that is throughout the duration of the program, he or she ensures that all the stakeholders are adequately and appropriately engaged, and for that he or she needs to carry out stakeholder impact analysis. So their issues and concerns, they are going to affect our program. So we need to understand what aspect of our program are being affected, like scope, benefits, risks, cost, schedule, priorities, outcomes. So impact analysis techniques, there are so many, should be used to understand the urgency and the probability of stakeholder issues and determine which issues may turn into program risks. And with that, we are concluding our fourth domain of program management, and let's move to the fifth domain of program management performance. So we have done and discussed about program strategy alignment. We have talked about program benefit management. Now we have completed program stakeholder engagement, and we have already discussed about program lifecycle management. So with that, we are left with program governance. So governance, establishing processes and procedures for maintaining program management oversight and decision making, support for applicable policies and practices throughout the course of the program. This program governance covers the systems and methods by which a program and its strategy are defined, authorized, monitored, implemented, and supported by its sponsoring organization. So it refers to the practices and processes conducted by a sponsoring organization to ensure that its programs are managed effectively and consistently. Now, there are a few points which should be considered for effective program governance, and that is, first thing is we need to establish clear, well understood agreement as to how the sponsoring organization will oversee the program. So ये नहीं है कि आपने प्रोग्राम मैनेजर को भेज दिया कि जाएं काम करें. प्रोग्राम मैनेजर को पता होना चाहिए कि उसकी परफॉर्मेंस और उसके प्रोग्राम की परफॉर्मेंस कैसे, उसकी टीम की परफॉर्मेंस कैसे ओवरसी की जाएगी. And the degree of autonomy that program will be given in the pursuit of its goals. So that should be very much there. Ensuring that the goals of the program remain aligned with the strategic vision. Program manager है, वो अपनी जगह काम कर रहा है. क्या उस प्रोग्राम के जो अलाइनमेंट है, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के स्ट्रेटेजिक अलाइनमेंट वो है, अगर नहीं है तो कैसे, कौन देखेगा उसको, उसके लिए बेसिकली हमें गवर्नेंस की जरूरत होती है. एंड देन एंडोर्सिंग एंड एनेबलिंग द परस्यूट्स ऑफ प्रोग्राम कंपोनेंट्स, ऑल द प्रोजेक्ट्स, सब प्रोजेक्ट्स, सब प्रोग्राम्स, कंपोनेंट्स, अदर वर्क, all should be endorsed for that. And creating a venue for communicating program risks, and this is very good. If the culture is not there, people won't talk of negative things, they will try to hush things. Good things but negative things will be hidden, and hence there should not be that situation where positive things can come up. So what will happen then when they are actually closing their eyes on actual threats? They are actually welcoming the bad things to the program. So creating a venue for communicating and addressing issues, and conducting periodic organizational reviews of the progress of the program in delivering its expected benefits. So how do we get to that governance? We can have program governance boards. So the majority of the organizations seek to ensure appropriate program governance by establishing this board that is responsible for defining and implementing appropriate governance systems and methods. And program governance boards are usually composed of executive level stakeholders. In some organizations, program governance boards are referred to as steering committees, जिसके आगे हमने बात भी की थी, oversight committees or board of directors. So different organizations may have different names, but governance is done through governance boards. Occasionally, in very small organizations, a single senior executive may assume the responsibilities of a program governance board. So it does not necessarily mean like 8 or 10 or 20 people are sitting over there. So establishing a single program governance board that is accountable for all critical elements of program oversight within an organization is considered to be the most efficient means for providing effective and agile governance program oversight. However, under some certain circumstances, some programs may need to report to multiple governance boards. अब होता यह है कि आप टॉप मैनेजमेंट है वो नहीं चाहते कि उनके साथ प्रोग्राम्स चल रहे हैं तो वो सबके साथ करें, और होता यह है कि एक प्रोग्राम मैनेजर जो है वो एक बोर्ड को रिप्लाई कर रहा है। लेकिन इस तरह के केसेस भी हो सकते हैं कि एक प्रोग्राम मैनेजर एक पोर्टफोलियो के अंदर दूसरे एक और बोर्ड को रिप्लाई कर रहा हो, फिर तीसरे को कर रहा हो, फिर चौथे को, ये एक ही वक्त में 3-4 बोर्ड्स को वो जवाबदेही कर रहा हो। प्रोग्राम गवर्नेंस बोर्ड की कुछ जो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज हैं वो यहाँ लिस्ट हैं। उसके अंदर है कि प्रोग्राम गवर्नेंस और विजन जो होना चाहिए और उसका गोल जो है ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के है वो सारे इन्होंने डिफाइन करने होते हैं बोर्ड ने। उसके बाद जो उसकी अप्रूवल है, उसके एंडोर्समेंट है और उसको इनिशिएट करना प्रोग्राम को, वो भी इन्होंने करना होता है। उसके अंदर 2 चीजें आ जाती हैं, एक तो है कि प्रोग्राम का चार्टर अप्रूव किया जाए और दूसरा ये कि प्रोग्राम बिजनेस केस को अप्रूव किया जाए। सो बोर्ड इज द वन विच इज एक्चुअली डूइंग दैट। So program funding, they ensure that, and then governance plan के अंदर क्या आ जाता है कि आप देखते हैं कि आपने क्या गोल्स अचीव करने हैं, उनकी एक समरी, और फिर आप देखते हैं कि जो प्रोग्राम गवर्नेंस बोर्ड है उसकी क्या कंपोजिशन होगी, क्या स्ट्रक्चर होगा, क्या रिपोर्टिंग लाइंस होंगी। तो उसके बाद फिर आपने उनके रोल्स एंड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज जो इंडिविजुअल्स हैं उनके डिफाइन करने हैं। उसके बाद आपने देखना है कि गवर्नर्स की जो मीटिंग्स हैं वो कब कब प्लान करनी है, कैसे करनी है, कहाँ होंगी, कितनी देर के बाद होंगी प्लान। उसके बाद आपने फेज गेट रिव्यूज के जैसे ही एक फेज खत्म हो रहा है या स्टार्ट हो रहा है तो फिर आपने उसका रिव्यू करना है। उसके बाद कंपोनेंट इनिशिएशन क्राइटेरिया कि क्या चीजें हों तो अगला कंपोनेंट आप इनिशिएट कर सकते हैं। इसी तरह ट्रांजिशन और क्लोजर के क्राइटेरियन आप करते हैं। पीरियोडिक हेल्थ चेक्स ये बेसिकली गवर्नेंस बोर्ड करता है। उसके बाद जो एस्केलेशन प्रोसेसेस हैं उनको जो इशू के हैं उनको देखता है। सो दिस इज हाउ द प्रोग्राम गवर्नेंस बोर्ड इज फंक्शनिंग। उसके अलावा जो दूसरी एक बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है वो है प्रोग्राम मैनेजमेंट ऑफिस। सो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो कि बहुत सारे प्रोग्राम्स कर रही हैं और वो जो प्रोग्राम्स हैं वो बहुत बड़े हैं साइज में और वो कॉम्प्लिकेटेड हैं, तो उसके लिए फिर वो एक ऐसा ऑफिस बना लेते हैं हाई लेवल जो कि इंश्योर करता है कि आपकी सारी की सारी क्वालिटी और आपकी कम्युनिकेशन और आपके सारे प्रोसीजर्स वो कंसिस्टेंट रहें, प्रोफेशनल वे से हों, और एक तरह से आप सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंस क्रिएट कर लेते हैं थ्रू दोज प्रोग्राम मैनेजमेंट ऑफिस। एक बड़ी ही इम्पोर्टेंट चीज जो है गवर्नेंस के अंदर, प्रोग्राम गवर्नेंस के अंदर, वो है प्रोग्राम मैनेजमेंट इंफॉर्मेशन सिस्टम। सो over there we can see a very good example of information system, so that should be very much related, interlinked and robust. So effective program management requires the efficient and effective exchange of information between the program management, project management, portfolio management, top management, sponsors and all the stakeholders for proper function of governance, program governance. And then program management audit support, जो आपका गवर्नेंस बोर्ड है उसको ये इंश्योर करना है, और उसकी गवर्नेंस का एक ये जो प्रोग्राम गवर्नेंस है उसका एक फंक्शन है कि वो ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ले उस चीज़ की कि वो जो भी उसके प्रोग्राम्स हैं उसकी अथॉरिटी के अंदर हैं वो हर टाइम ऑडिट के लिए तैयार रहें, और जब भी उनका ऑडिट करवाया जाए उस वक्त, और किसी भी नेचर का करवाया जाए उसके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर, तो एडिक्वेट इंफॉर्मेशन उस वक्त अवेलेबल हो। एंड इन द लास्ट एजुकेशन एंड ट्रेनिंग, so programs are actually been run for some purpose, so they are helping projects in good way, so whatever they are learning, they ensure that this has been actually transferred to the project teams to the maximum level they can. So जो भी ये सारी एजुकेशन है, जो भी लर्निंग है, ये कैसे होगी? ये बेसिकली प्रोग्राम गवर्नेंस के थ्रू होगी। So the function of governance is further supported by this fact that organizational education and training in program management roles, responsibilities, skills, capabilities, competencies is being actually done by the program thing. So this is all about program governance. And let's have a quick summary of today's lecture. Today's lecture we had discussed about program stakeholder engagement and program domains, their interaction. 3 activities of stakeholder engagement: identification and analysis and planning, and then engagement. And then we had discussed about register and map, स्टेकहोल्डर रजिस्टर, उसके अंदर क्या होता है, क्या होना चाहिए, वो सारी चीज़ें हमने डिस्कस की. उसके बाद हमने देखा कि आइडेंटिफिकेशन और की स्टेक होल्डर्स के ऊपर हमने काफ़ी सारी बात की. ऑब्वियसली जो की स्टेक होल्डर्स बताएंगे हैं वो फाइनल लिस्ट नहीं है, हम इसके ऊपर फर्दर ऐड कर सकते हैं. उसके बाद हमने बात की थी कि हमने प्लानिंग कैसे करनी है, फिर हमने बात की थी कि एंगेज कैसे करना है. उसके बाद गवर्नेंस और प्रोग्राम डोमेन, उसके ऊपर हमने बात की थी. गवर्नेंस बोर्ड के ऊपर बात की थी. और उसके बाद एट द एंड हमने प्रोग्राम मैनेजमेंट ऑफिस, इसके ऊपर हमने बात की थी. सो दिस इज ऑल अबाउट दिस लेक्चर. दिस इज द लास्ट lecture of this first seminar on program management. We had 5 sessions on that, and after that we will be continuing towards the portfolio thing and business analysis and trainings, but this is the end of the program management from this seminar. So I say good luck, thank you, and Allah Hafiz.